So no chihuahuas.
I'm not a fan of
you're pissing
chihuahuas.
off
I'm
so
not a
many
fan of
people.
chihuahuas, doodles, you know, all these like handbag dogs.
How about Pomeranians?
Yeah, fuck no, they're stupid. Like that thing is useless to you. You know, get like a German Shepherd, a Belgian Malinois, something that's going to defend you.
My girl wants a Pomeranian.
Oh my god,
Is that bad?
it's bad for you. You have to deal with it.
Shit. I want to know exactly how you said you were going on a podcast runs before, you were connecting with cool people, and then all of a sudden it seems like you came out of nowhere and we're connecting with people like Justin Waller, Tate, the biggest names in the manosphere, right? Even Rollo, like you said. So how did that kind of act as a stepping stone to connecting with the highest caliber personal brands in the online space?
Well, I think I was very fortunate in that I connected with a lot of these people on in the early stages of their career or on their way up. Like Fresh and Fit, for example.
Yeah.
I was one of the first. Me and Sarah J. I think were the first ever in-person guests on their show.
Really?
In their original studio in Miami.
Yeah. On the road.
Yeah. So there's that one example, right? Obviously, I connected to them through Rollo. Me and Rollo had a great relationship. Justin and I met each other, and then we actually lived together in Midtown. So there was that, and then obviously I met Andrew and Tristan Tate and stuff. Yeah, and I always kind of took this approach of like, there's a really good book I like called Trust Me, I'm Lying, Confessions of a Media Manipulator by Ryan Holiday. And in this book, he talks about how he was able to dupe, not that I duped anyone, but this all makes sense, how he was able to dupe journalists into writing about him and his stories or the businesses he was representing. And his strategy involved reaching out to a very small niche blog or something about whatever company he was representing and leaking a story to them and then getting written about there. And then he would move up like the food chain to a slightly bigger blog.
The ranks, yeah.
Yeah. And leak the story again. And oh, by the way, this blog already wrote about it. And then he would just repeat that process infinitum until he got to the very top of the food chain, right? He's on Huffington Post or New York Times or CNN or whatever.
The biggest, yeah.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I'd actually applied that exact same process 10 years ago with my first ever startup from the comfort of my living room in Australia. And I got written about in London newspapers, American newspapers and stuff. People don't really know this, but I've already applied that principle, right? And so I kind of took the same principle and applied it to going on podcasts. It's like, well, okay, I've been on this. I was very fortunate, and the first one I went on was Rollo, which is a very big one in the space. It's like, okay, well, there's a lot of credibility attached to that, and I could leverage that credibility to connect with guys like Fresh and Fit, to connect with a bunch of other guys, and so the ease of access to bigger and bigger podcasts made perfect sense. It snowballed very, very easily. Yeah, but I think the strategy in itself is something anyone can apply. You don't necessarily have to go for the big fish straight away. You can humble yourself a bit, realize where you're at on the totem pole, and more importantly, what you have to offer.
Correct.
I was in a unique position, and I had a unique angle to talk about dating, relationships, red pill, sexual dynamics. I had a unique angle to talk about it from, given my background in the sex industry. So that helps as well.
Correct. I'm glad you mentioned that too. You mentioned the word access, because as you talk to one person, 2, 4, 8, it multiplies, right? Mm-hmm. And the more shows, more whatever you're talking about, people get to know your face more and see your beliefs and know who you are. That unlocks so much untapped value that otherwise would not be available to tap into.
Yeah.
Now, I want to mention personal branding things, because every single person I talk to has their own personal brand, at least in Miami, even back home in Scottsdale where I live, right? So what do you think, do you see a future of only big personal brands being the ones that are the big money makers, are the ones that have the access? Where do you see that future at?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're heading. If you look at everything that every social media company is doing, people are creating brands overnight on TikTok. They're coming from being a nobody. I think, what's that song it's been going viral for 2 months now on TikTok, the Dirt Man song? You guys seen that at all?
Honestly, no.
Okay. Well, anyway, if you've been on TikTok the last couple of months, you probably heard of the Dirt Man song, or whatever. It's just some dude fucking around in his apartment with a green screen making stupid music, And now in that one particular tune, it went viral. Like people were singing it on actual like stages in like actual concerts and stuff like that.
That exposure is crazy.
Yeah, so it's nuts. Like the threshold to like stardom or celebrity is so below. It's never been this low. So why wouldn't you take advantage of that and create a personal brand? And I've also heard this stated from a guy called another Red Pill guy, Ryan Stone. He mentioned this years ago. Actually, he said like dating is now actually personal branding, and that is a really interesting way of looking at dating. If you look at Instagram, what is it? Instagram is a dating app, and it's a personal branding app, right? Which guys in Miami get access to the most women? It's probably the guy with the best personal brand, the best Instagram, the guy who sells himself the best.
Yep.
Right? That's the world we're living in now. If you choose to partake in that. And this is why everyone's sort of leaning away from like traditional corporate brands and more towards personal brands. One, because they're relatable. They're people. There's a face. You can know, like, and trust a person far easier than you can know, like, and trust a nameless, faceless brand, right? Like Pfizer or GM or whatever. But here's the other really cool thing, is that personal brands now have the ability to take down and discredit these traditionally old school corporate brands. People can go on and do exposés on companies and on brands and just destroy their stock price, destroy their credibility. It's actually quite...
It's happened recently.
It's happened a lot recently. Yeah. It's quite empowering when you think about it to the average person. Like, if you are dedicated to your craft, you can actually make a significant impact now. Whereas before, 20 years ago, we probably couldn't. We were a lot more at the behest of these big megacorps.
I see the future of being ran by solo creators and maybe a team of 5, 10 people, maybe 20 people if you're an actually big personal brand. The outliers like Belmar, Tate, Iman, for example, right? They have big teams, but you don't need to be somebody of that massive influence to have impact, whether it's going to be for making money online offer, a sexual relationship offer, whatever it may be. You need to have your core group of people that support you in a ride or die. And that's how you're going to separate yourself from the fucking regular people that are stuck in the matrix, essentially. Right. And create a life that you actually want to live, where you're able to connect with cool people.